Mark. Jesus said to the multitudes, "This is how it is with the kingdom of God. It is as if a man were to scatter seed on the land, and would sleep and rise night and day. And through it all the seed would sprout and grow, he knows not how. Of its own accord the earth yields fruit, first the blade, then the ear, then the full grain in the ear. And when the grain is ripe, he wields the sickle at once, for the harvest has come." He said, "To what shall we compare the kingdom of God? Or what parable can we use for it? It is like a mustard seed, that when it is sown in the ground, is the smallest of all the seeds on the earth. But once it is sown, it springs up and becomes the largest of plants and puts forth large branches, so that the birds of the sky can dwell in its shade." With many such parables he spoke the word to them as they were able to understand it. Without parables he did not speak to them, but to his own disciples he explained everything in private. My brothers and sisters, this is the gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
You folks like surprises?
Yes. Yeah.
It's a good thing to have surprises in life, especially if you're not expecting it. Because, for example, tomorrow my best friend is giving me a surprise party. But he doesn't know I'm doing. Some of the surprises in our lives come in different ways, some unexpected, some of our own doing. We think sometimes that what we're doing will not end in something good, then we're surprised because we never thought about it. We never really expected it, and it results into something good. So I'd like to start the reflection for the Gospel of the 11th Sunday of the Ordinary Time by the famous anecdote of the construction site. You remember the construction site? There was this foreigner who came in and he saw a construction site. And he was, as a curious guy, he goes around, and then there was a truck backing up, trying to unload a truckload of sand. And then the driver caught him. So the driver went down, and then the foreigner said, "Excuse me, what are you doing? Sir, can you back off a bit because I'm trying to unload this truckload of sand to here so that I can go on my way." So that's what you're doing? Yes, that's what I'm doing. So if you can excuse me, please. So the foreigner moved along, and then he saw a guy, you know, this big truck with cement, the big mix. So he's putting the gravel and then the cement and then the sand in there, and he was mixing the machine. And the foreigner says, "Excuse me, sir, what are you doing?" He said, "I have a schedule to meet. I need to mix a lot of cement. So please stop disturbing us. I haven't finished this." Okay. So he moved along, and then somewhere there we saw a big row of bricks and blocks. And there's this one, you know, the home people, they're in a bale of cement, and he was putting one block on top of the other, and he was trying to fix it and make it straight. So the foreigner asked him, "Excuse me, sir, what do you do?" The guy looked up and told him, "I'm building a cathedral." And then the foreigner saw what the construction was about. It was a cathedral. So the surprising thing is, the gospel of today speaks to us about surprises. And Jesus used two narratives to show us, picture us, how God surprises us in our lives. Now, first, the seed and the sower. The sower grows the seed, and then he sleeps. He doesn't do anything, and to his surprise, when harvest comes, he sees a good, bountiful harvest. He didn't do anything, probably just leave it there. Or modern day times, you can see they're plowing it and cultivating it, adding fertilizer. But in the olden days, you just throw the seed and the soil will take care of it. And most of us in our lives, we think that when we're caught up with the daily routine of our lives, we think that whatever we're doing is not, how do you call it, when you get tired of the routine. And then, what?
Right.
Yeah, and then you think that nothing's happening. For example, if you're in a relationship and you're nearing 20 years anniversary, and you think it's the same thing happening over and over, probably 25 years. Who has more than 20 years here? Oops. And you keep on doing the same thing over and over again. You think that it's not leading to anything. So every now and then my wife tells me she wants to divorce me. So I keep doing the same thing over and over again. Chocolates, flowers, and she keeps changing her mind. She keeps postponing that. So sometimes in our lives when we keep on telling our children, don't do this, don't do that, and it seems they're not listening. No, they're so on their own thing, and you don't understand that. But just go ahead with that. Continue with whatever you're doing. Sometimes we put up with our own jobs that we don't like, and we're there every day, and we see that nothing's happening. And sometimes we have to face the community, we surround ourselves with the same people that doesn't change their attitude, and we're just there. And we think that nothing's really happening. The good thing is, God has a surprise for us. Things that we're doing, if we're doing it good, if we're doing the best we can, God will surprise us in the end. Okay? So, we will find out that the world, thanks to people like you, who continue doing what is good, keeps on telling the children to be good, who keeps on putting up with each other as husband and wife, you will see later on that there's something good that will happen in that relationship. You remember when it's your first time to live on your own, and you're out of your own house, your own home, and you meet problems in life? What are the criteria you use to solve those problems? What's the value that you have to be able to face those problems? Isn't it that it came from that nagging mother who's always telling you, and your dad who's always, right? Apparently you listen, it goes in here, and it comes out there, but wait, something stays here. And then you use the same values and principles that your dad and your mom has been telling you over and over again until you grow up, and then now you're a successful person. Why? Well, thanks to that apparently not helping suggestion that your parents have been doing, right? So, and you try. I remember the first time I came to the U.S., 2005, when I was used to having only $300 in my pocket as a religious. And then I applied for a car loan of $16,000. Where will I get the money? But I just, my friends told me, marry she said, just keep on paying that minimum thing and keep paying a little bit more. So in 2 years' time, that $16,000 was gone. And I was driving my own car. Things happen, and they happen for a reason. And if you put your trust in God and you do the best you can, some good will come out of that. So the second thing that Jesus illustrates, aside from the seed, is the mustard seed. The mustard seed is the smallest among all the seeds. I heard in the 8 o'clock mass there was an illustration of that. Brother Bennett, he had his mustard, and he said, I'm eating this tonight with chicken. But the mustard seed, the mustard plant is a shrub that has its ability to creep in and to grow into the surrounding area. And it will build itself to become a big plant, wherein the birds can take refuge and it will give shade in a sunny day. So the mustard seed also is the smallest seed there is, and it grows into a big shrub. Most of us in our lives, we think that when we do small things, we just take it for granted. Small things that are insignificant, we take it for granted. We think that it's just a small thing. I remember my mom, when I was very young, she used to tell me, don't remember, the journey to 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Okay, Mom, so don't forget that. A sure pace that will continue to get you where you want. So, small things. Most of us, we look down on people who do small things, apparently insignificant things. So be careful of that, beware of that. Sometimes we forget that, I remember that nobody climbs a mountain from the top, right? You always climb it from the bottom up. So then you will see the success that you did through the small things that you have done. So the mustard seed is like that in our lives. Small, insignificant things that we're apparently doing, but we're going somewhere. We're going somewhere, and have faith in that somewhere, because chances are we might get there sooner or later. So these two examples of Jesus Christ shows us two things in God's plan. First, the kingdom of God will continue with or without our effort. Even as we sleep, the kingdom of God will continue to function, even as we sleep. It's the grace of God that will always be there. It is not our own doing, it is not our own will. In the end, it's God's will that will happen in our lives. So, the second thing is, we are part of that will of God. We take part of that. Why? Because we are invited to partake and realize that the kingdom of God in us. So, most of us, sometimes we don't know. We just look around these walls of St. Matthew and we think that we're a handful of people. And what we don't realize is this has been a haven of 58 or 59 other communities who were inspired by the examples of St. Matthew. So now we're 58 communities all over the US. Not to mention Europe, Belgium. Do we still have the Holland people? Do we still have the Lithuanian people? Lithuanian? Yes. We still have the Austrian people?
No.
Okay. Where's Father Tomas? The one?
Poland.
Oh, Poland. Poland.
Belgium and Poland are the two.
Oh, we have two. And then, hopefully next year, Asia, Philippines, we're visiting, and hopefully something good will come out of that. So we're trying to build something great in small efforts that we make. I remember Leslie Bauer, Leslie Bear, who started Share Aid with St. Matthew 25, 30 years ago. You know how much we have sent to Guatemala for aid throughout those years? Anybody has an idea? Over $2 million. Small donations of people who are generous enough to save something, little things that they have, and they put it, and it's there. So, 30 years after St. Matthew, I believe we have fed hundreds of hungry people in Emmanuel House. And I believe that we have catechized thousands of teenagers in Orange County when they realize what it means to be Catholic inside St. Matthew Church. We have served thousands of families who needed sacraments. We're just doing the small, insignificant things that we're doing, but the reign of God is happening through St. Matthew. Okay? So it's a big thing that's happening, but we have to see with our own faith that we need to do the best that we can in the very insignificant things that we're doing here in this small church. So the next time you read, you're not just reading for the community. You're proclaiming the Word of God. Okay? Next time you water the plants around St. Matthew, you are not just watering the plant. Next time you sing, you're not just singing. Here at St. Matthew, we are building the kingdom of God in Orange County. Okay? We're doing something big, and we are part of a big process that's happening more than what we can handle, even with or without our own doings. It is happening, and thanks to that small, insignificant church in Orange that is continuously showing acceptance, what else? Love, what else? Support, what else? Joy, what else? Friendship. So everything we do insignificant things, but we do our best to do it. And it's giving a national, county, national, worldwide effect. Okay? So don't forget that. So it's not insignificant. We are going somewhere. This year, we will celebrate 30 years of St. Matthew's existence. I'm very proud to say that 15 years of that 30 years, I was part of it. Wow, something's happening. I keep receiving phone calls of my Catholic, Roman Catholic friends saying, Father Arturo, when are you going to be a bishop? I said, why do you ask that? Because I want to join you. I said, I don't need to be a bishop. I have a bishop who will accept you right now. Just decide. And they're good Roman Catholic priests. So I said, come on in. And they never received the same acceptance, the same support, and the same attention that is given to them anywhere in the United States. So that's why they come to St. Matthew and other communities like St. Matthew. Okay? So something good is happening, and we are part of it. So let us continue doing what we're doing in the small things, insignificant things that we're doing, because it's leading to something great. We are a small community, faith community of people who love each other and accept each other. But we form one community, and we continue to practice our genuinely Catholic tradition. Amen?
Amen.
Please all stand up.